This section will be about the data visualization. So what is data visualization? I'm going to split into three sections. First, we are going to discuss about data tables. Okay, so how to deal with the data tables. And yeah, we are going to look at the basic chart. The basic chart here. At the first, I'm going to use the Google chart because I think this is the very basic one. And the next section will be some advanced charts. So I will show you how you can leverage the streaming charts and some variation. First, data tables. So what is data tables? If you are dealing with data analytics, I guess it is good if you have the experience with data tables. So data tables is the JavaScript. It is based on the JavaScript, and this is a kind of HTML table. And you can have a lot of library, you can have a lot of style, and you can have a lot of classes that you can leverage for this table. It is highly flexible tool built upon the foundations of progressive enhancements. It means every features for HTML table you can use in these data tables. So I would like to show you these data tables. And using the data tables, we can add advanced interaction controls to HTML tables with free and easy way. So there now it is free. If you can look at the link. So this is the data table website. And you can see this is an example of the table. You can sort this on the column, let's say the position. So I'm going to sort this on the alphabet. So I'm going to start with A, C, and so on. Then yeah, if you click one more time, you will do the sorting based on the descending or the last alphabet. For example, this is T, and then S, and so on. Or you can, yeah, if I want to sort it the H, then it will be starting from the smaller H, or this is, you can start from the older H. So there are many kind of examples. So you can modify the pagination. The pagination means this one. There will be some page number. So you don't need to think about the style, but they will provide you this kind of pagination. And then you can also do the instant search. So you don't need to do with your own function. So you don't need to create your own function for search. For example, yeah, I'm going to search accounting or accountant. Then yeah, it will show you directly the data related to the accountant. Or if I want to search about the top office in the Tokyo, then it will automatically show the office name in the Tokyo, and so on. And then we can have the multi-column ordering. So you can sort the data by multiple column at once. Yeah, I think in this case, maybe this is not the library that we can use the multiple column, but yeah, you can see here, you can also do a kind of condition. If the data equals to something, then you can check also based on this column. So using these data tables, it is very convenient. And then you can just include the CDN. So last time we learned about the CDN. The CDN means the content delivery network. So all the contents are available in the CSS and the JavaScript. And then you can just embed your table into this JavaScript. And then you can make this table. The data table takes a standard HTML table. So you can use the current table in the HTML and enhances. The most efficient way to use it with Fast API is to let Python handle the data logic. So you still need the server to handle the data, or you can fetch it from an external API. So today we are going to look at some API, and then we can return a clean JSON array of objects. After we have the JSON array, then the data tables will automatically map the JSON keys to the HTML column. So the starting point is the Python if you are using the server, or you can use the API if you directly connect your data to the API, and then you can change the format into the JSON. And after you have the JSON format, then you can put into the table with the data tables. So this is an example how you can get the table. If you still remember, last week we learned about the jQuery. Okay. You still remember jQuery? With the jQuery, you can use this tag, and then I'm going to call the document. So it means the HTML section. And if the document is ready, then I will run this function, put into the my table. Okay, so if you still remember, this is the jQuery command. This is the jQuery tag, and then shop. What is shop? This is to represent the ID. Okay. So the ID in your HTML file is my table. So you just put all the data into the my table. Okay, let's create a new project, and let's make this one. So I will have two database, and sorry, I have two Python files. The first is database and the other is main. And then let's make a separate JavaScript file. Okay, you already know we can use the static, and then there are two JavaScript files. First is the file to connect to the movie API. So I will teach you the movie API. And the other is I would like to connect to the local data, which is the database. And then in the HTML files, so there will be 4 files. I'm going to use base, which is the header, and the CDN, and etc. And then I'm going to use the index as the home. And then I would like to show the local data and the movie data. Okay, so what are they? Let's see one by one. So now let's create a project. Okay, let me just create a pure Python. Let's create data visualization. Okay, I'm going to use the select the existing Python file. In this case, okay, I have only one. Let's create this one. Okay, so the result will be something like this one. Okay, I'm going to show the first page. So the first page will be a selection, whether you want to show the local data or you want to show the movie data. And then if you are opening the local data, then you will see this one. So I will show you how to do the editing in the data tables. And the other is the movie data. So this is from the API. So this is about movie. And yeah, fortunately, there is one website in Thailand, Thaigood. So they share the API for free. So I'm using this API. Okay, now let's create the database. As you might know, we need to set up the database. Okay, the database means, yeah, you need to create the engine and then you need to create the base and the session maker. And then after you have the import classes, you can configure the database. So I'm just using the name local data. Let's create the local data here. And then yeah, the database URL will be this one. I'm going to use the SQLite. And then this is the session. So auto commit will be false and auto flush will be false. And it will bind to the engine. Now, let's create the database. And I'm going to create just a very simple data. So the database, the database, we have one table, which is users, and there are 4 attributes. The first is ID, which is integer, and the primary key is the ID, and we were going to use this as the index. And then we have name, role, and status. So those 3 attributes will be string. New label will be false. So it means you need to fill in with some data. And then yeah, the database will be connected to the engine. And I'm going to create the first data. Okay, so this is the first data for, if you use the database, you need to insert your data manually. But if you run this one, then the original data will be this one. So in the user model, it means the class user model, I will put the name as Alice, and then the role is administrator, and the status is active. The user model, the name is Bob, the role is moderator, and the status is inactive. And the third, the name is Charlie, the role is user, and the status is active. So there will be 3 users. Here, yeah, I just give the condition. If there is no data at the first time, if the user model dot count, so it means if the user data is empty, then let's add these 3 data. And then let's do the commit. Then in the database, there will be at least 3 data. Now let's create the min.py. Okay, the first is the header. So the header, yeah, you will import the Fast API, and then you will import the PyIdentic, you will import the SQL Alchemy, and then you will import the database. So please remember that every time when you use the Fast API, first you need to build your app, and then you need to clarify where is your templates. And then next, if you use the JavaScript, then you need to put this mount. It means where is your JavaScript file. Next, you will get the DB, and then we are going to connect to the DB in the session local. If you finish with the DB, then you will close it. And then we are going to use the PyIdentic schema. It means if you are connecting to your JavaScript, then you can deal with this data, row, column, and with the new value. So let's see later how will we connect to this section. Next, let's define the HTML root. The HTML root, we have three kind of roots. The first root will be the home. So the home, it means I'm going to connect to the index.html. The second will be the users. I'm going to connect to the local data.html. And the third will be the movie. So I'm going to connect to the movie data.html. Now, this is the local data API. Okay, you still put it in the main.py. For the API users, you are going to get the users by accessing the database. So this is the database, the getDB. You get DB, you will connect to this getDB, and then you will do the query. It means you will check all the data from the DB, and then we return the users. If we are going to update it, so I'm going to update based on the file in the class user update payload. So what is this one? User update payload. This is the class that we create. There are three attributes. The first is row ID, the second is the column name, and the third is the new value. So what is this? Yeah, we will take a look on the data labels later. This payload will be for the updating at the Ajax. And then I'm going to check what is the row ID in the payload that is the same with the ID in the user model. So if it is the same, then let's get the first data and then put it into the variable user. If user is not exist, then you can show the status for over or the user record not found. And then we need to check. So I'm going to put into the table and I'm going to update only the role. So later on you can see in the database we have name, role, and status. So I'm going to update only the column role. So if the column name is role, then user.role equals to the payload new value. And then just commit it. So if everything is good, then it will show this one. If everything is good, then you will show that the new value has been updated. If there is no errors, then you will show this message. If there is an error, then you will see 404 or 400. Now, this is the local API data update. And then this is the movie data. If you look at this movie data, if we connect to this URL, we are going to see the movies data. And I'm using this API. So this is an API from Thailand. Let's see. Yeah, because we are connecting to another website. So the time is quite long. Maybe it's about 5 seconds something. If you look at this one, they use the Django REST framework. Here, if you look at the details, this is in the format of JSON. So this is the count, how many people look at this website. And then this is the link. It means I'm going to show at least 70 movies. And then the first movie ID is 21250. The title is Avengers. The language is English and the release date will be 2027, December 16. Okay. And so on. Okay. So you have the data and then you have the thumbnail. Okay. So it means if you open this one, they have, oh, sorry, because this one, you need the key. So for some of them, you need the key to connect this one. But for the general data, you can access it. So we are going to get only the general data. So we are going to synchronize this one. We are going to synchronize the URL by using the HTTPX. Okay, last time we used this HTTPX to connect to any API. And now I'm going to use await. Okay, last time we learned about the await. Okay. We learned about await and async. So we are waiting for the connection to the this URL. So this URL means the API. Because if you connect to this API, it will take some time. So I set up 10 seconds. Okay. So if you look at this one, okay, let's make another. So you need some seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So something like this one. If you directly connect and then try to show it into your HTML without the timeout, then your web will be error. Okay, so that's why sometimes we need this timeout. But it depends on what is your API. Okay. So I guess in your team project, most of you will use API. Okay, please check this one. If your API needs sometimes to connect, so maybe you need this timeout. And then REST for status. It means if the connection is good, then we will give the status, whether it is connected or not. If it is not connected, then it will be error. So we will not connect to the other state. If it is good, then it will give the JSON file, and the JSON file will go to the variable data. And then after that, we will get the results. So what is the results? If you look at the data, we have the key results. So we use this result. And then after we have the result, we want to get the ID, title, duration, and release date. Because I think those variables are available. So here, yeah, I'm going to get only this one. ID, title, duration, and release date. I think the duration, yes, most of the duration is 0. Okay, but yeah, anyway, we can get this data. So the other data is this one: ID, title, release date, and duration, okay, and so on. So we can get the duration. If you cannot get the duration, then let's put NA or not available. And get the release date. If you cannot get the release date, put NA. For any M in movies. So here, so it means for every movies that you get on the result, you will do the loop. So this is the loop, and you will get it into the M. So can you understand this one? This is the list comprehension. Okay, so this is one example of the list comprehension. If you are in Python, if you are in Python, you know that we will set up the list at first. Okay. So this is the data that I want to get, and then I'm using the for loop at the end. So it means every M that I get in the movies, it will be in the dictionary, and this dictionary will have the key ID, title, duration, release date, and for every of this data, it will be in the list, because this is a list. And then we will return the clean movies. So after we get all the data, we will put it into the clean movies, and the clean movies will be inserted into the API. So later we will check the API. Now let's create the base.html. The HTML file, we can create the templates. As I mentioned before, we will create 4 files base. So this is the base. In this base, I'm going to use the jQuery, and then I'm going to use the Bootstrap, and I'm using the data tables. So here I'm using the data tables. So the data tables, there are at least 2. First, the data tables related to the, there are 3. So the first is about the style, and the other is about the data tables class itself, and the other is about the Bootstrap. So I think this one is similar with the CSS. So if you want to modify some classes, I think this JavaScript will connect to this CSS. I think you already know the block. So we have the block content, and I'm preparing another kind of block. it is the script. So the script, it is for the JavaScript. Next, I'm going to create the index.html. So this index means I'm going to create the REST API, data portal. This is the content. And you can put the second page into the later part of the index.html. So the index.html, there are two pages. Okay, so the first page is the heading, or this is to get the page.html, and then the title, and then the content. So the content, there will be two contents. The first content will be related to the local data. So this is related to the local data. I'm just using any card or any template from the Bootstrap. So this is to connect to the local user management. Whenever I click on this reference, so I'm going to use the slash users. So slash users mean the local data.html. If I click on the open movie data, then I'm going to use the movies URL. So the movies URL will be movie data.html. Okay, so that's the meaning. Next, I'm going to create the local data.html. So I'm going to create another HTML local data. In this local data, I'm going to use the table, and this table, it will be connected to the data tables. So later we will check how we connect this table to the data table. And then in this HTML, I'm going to connect to the script. So the script is the JavaScript. Later we are going to create the local data.javascript. We have the movie data.html. So we can create another HTML file. We have the movie data.html. For this movie data, again, we have the table. So this is the table. We have the ID, title, duration, and the release date. And then we also connect to the JavaScript. So the JavaScript is the local movie. Now let's create the JavaScript. So the JavaScript will be located into a folder. Last time we learned that we need to create the static folder. In the static folder, you can have several kind of folders. For example, you can put image, you can put JavaScript. Now I'm going to put the JavaScript, JS. So I'm going to make a new file, which is the JavaScript file. The file name is local data. Okay, I will explain it a little bit later. And I have another JavaScript, which is movie data. So movie data.javascript. Okay, if everything is good, now let's try to run the code. The code will be at the min.py. So you will see the two pages. There will be two kind of section, whether you want to open the local data or you want to open the movie data. So if you click on the local data, then you will see these data tables. So your data tables will be appears in form of table, and now it is in the good format. So you can click and then you can just sort based on name, or you can sort based on the role, and you can sort based on the status. So there's a link. You can go to the movie data. So this is the movie data. Maybe it takes some time. As I mentioned to you, I put the timeout as 10 seconds. So it requires about 10 seconds to get the data and verify the data and then move the data into the link. Oops, I guess something wrong. Local movie. Ah, I guess I put the wrong file name. So the name of JavaScript, I put the wrong name. This is not the local movie. This is movie data. So the JavaScript name should be movie data because I put the movie data here. Let's make again. Okay, now it shows the data. As I mentioned to you, this data is from the Thailand. Okay. So you can see some of the movies is in the Thai language. And then you can see the release date. You can see the duration. And then you can see the movie title. And this is the ID obtained from the API. And then this is only showing the first 10 data. If you want to see the page number 2, page number 3, page number 4, number 5, and so on, then you can see all the data. If you look at this one, they limit into 70. Okay, so they limit the data into 70 data. So you cannot show more than 70 data. That's why it is until page 7. So whenever you take any API, please check. Maybe there will be some limits because it is a free API. So yeah, if it is free, no problem. You can just use this as an example. Now let's move on to the user data. Now the good thing here is whenever you do the editing, you don't need to do something like the CRUD. If you still remember, when you do the CRUD, you will need a button. You need a button to edit. But here, with the data tables, you can just double click. Let's say I'm going to edit this role. So I'm going to change this to moderator. So you can directly change in the cell. So you don't need to change with the button. So let's say if I move into the other data, and then let's get back to the user. Now Alice is a moderator. And then let's say I'm going to change again this to administrator. Okay, so after I change to the administrator, let's get back to the original and then let's get back here. So now Alice becomes administrator again. So it means you don't need to do the editing with the button, and then you can just do editing in this cell directly. And for this one, I set up the editing only in the second row. No, sorry, in the second column. So if you look at the local data.js, so this is the advantage of using the JavaScript. In the JavaScript, you can see this is using the jQuery. So this jQuery. We are going to access to the document, and then I'm going to use the user table. So the user table is the table that I created in the local data. So this is the ID. This is the user table, and in the user table, I'm going to access the data table from the Ajax. We are going to use the Ajax, and the API / users will be the data that connects to this dictionary. So if you look at the API users, so what is API users? Then you can go here, API users. So this is the data in your database. This is the data in your database. We have Alice, the role is administrator and the status is active. The second data we have Bob, the role is moderator and the status is inactive. And the third is Charlie, the role is user and the status is active. And then we are going to look at the columns. We know that the columns, there are 4 columns: ID, name, role, and status. And then for the role, now let's make it into different style. So this is, I just get the style from the Bootstrap. That's why if you move into the users, you can see here, the color is different. Okay. The different color, it means that the different color means I'm using this style. And then I'm going to create a row. So this create row means I'm going to use the second row, in this case, the column index 2. The column index 2, it is the role. So this is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. In the index 2, I'm going to check, okay, if the role cell equals to the TD, and then this is the row that I'm clicking on the JavaScript, on the HTML, and it equals to the column index. The column index is the column 2. So the row cell will be this one. So this is the JavaScript. This is more advanced JavaScript. You can edit the content. So the editing is true. And then whenever you do the editing, you will do the cursor and the pointer. So it means like this one. So you can do editing. You can do the, let's say I'm using the column, this one I change to user. Okay. So it means there will be a cursor and there will be a pointer. And then on blur. Okay. So if it is, if you look at this one, this is on a blur, and then I'm going to update it based on the text given on the page. If you have the text, you will trim it so that it will fit into this text, and we are putting in the updated value variable. If the updated value equals to the data of the role, so it means if we want to fit into the role, then return. So if the text didn't change, it means the updated value is still the same with the data in the database. But if the data is different, now let's fetch. Fetch means I'm going to go to this link. What is this link? This is the API users update. This is the API user update. It is to update the data. So the updating will be based on the user update payload. Okay, so this is the user update payload that I explained before from here. So we have what is the row ID, which row that I want to update, which column name that I want to update, and what is the new value that you inserted. So you can see here, if I insert into the second row, administrator, then it will update into the second row. If I update here, moderator, then it will update in the first row. After I click on this link, then I use the method post because I already clarified when I update the data, I'm going to use the post, and after that it will be in the body. So the fetching in the body, I will use the JSON that the row ID equals to the data ID, the column name is role, and the new value will be the updated value. So after I have this one, then it will be response to the JSON. And if everything is good, then you will see the database updated. And the data in the table will be updated with the new data that you already set in the HTML file. So if there is no error, then we will just finish. If there is an error, then you will catch the error. So the error means we fail to update the data. So this is the local data updating. So if you want to use this example, you can check how you can leverage this into your data tables. For the API movies, it is just the same with the existing. So I'm using the movie table. In this case, is from the movie data.html. Yeah, you can see here is the movie table. And then the Ajax is from the API movies. Then you will connect this one to API movies. So the API movies, it will be connected to the movies in the API that I sent before. If you look at this one, it is too complicated. So you can put in the pretty print. If you put into the pretty print, then you can get the data into the JSON format. Then this is the data that will be applied to your web page. So we are going to get the ID, title, duration, and the release date. That's why you can see this one in the movie. Yeah, you will see this one. Okay. Okay, so this is the explanation. Yeah, if you want to know more details, you can refer to this page about the explanation for each section. Okay, let's have a break. Okay, I will continue after the break.